Hey guys, I'm Janet, on occasion, and today I'm playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. So, this is actually a matchup I don't know if I've done before. Actually, I've been on the other side of it, but not this way around. So it's Greenskins versus Skaven. So this should be a fun one. So I decided to go with the front line of Savage Orcs. Because, they got some physical resist. Unfortunately, there's a lot of magic attacks that I've got to worry about against Skaven, so their physical resist might not help them much. But against a lot of trash, they should do okay. Because, they've got pretty high, weapon strength, which is pretty nice. So they can kill things pretty quickly, quite good, melee attack. But, so basically these guys can smash the front line nice and quick. And I've got some Black Orcs for backup. Obviously, I've got to watch out for Sensor Bearers. But they should match up brilliantly against Storm Vermin or, well, pretty much any other infantry. And they're immune to psychology, so they're not going to get terrified away by any of the Skaven scary things. So, should hold out pretty well. Also, I've got 2 units of Goblin Archers and the Rusty Arrows. So, normally you'd think, okay, just don't bother with the Rusty Arrows, they don't have a lot of armor, just bring a load of Goblin Archers and you just kill, all the lightly armored stuff for days. But, basically if they had a Doom Wheel, I needed something to sunder that armor nice and quick. So, yeah, I had to have that insurance. I also decided to try out the Hammer of Gork, because, as you can see, it's got a little tooltip down there by its missile damage. That actually lowers accuracy and a few other things. So, if we have a look at it, actually, it's so it's blinded, so it lowers melee attack, it lowers accuracy, and it lowers melee defense. So that will really help debuff things, which is really good. But I basically brought it because I wanted to see how well it would do against something like the Warp Lightning Cannon or, anything like that, any artillery, see if I could just stop them from being as effective. And also, it means in the front line, it should help out a lot by, sort of debuffing the enemy, so that should be fun. Also, if we look on the edges, I've got a couple of goblins. These guys I basically just brought for the silver shields. Right, so if you had a load of gutter runners knocking around, I could just throw these at the gutter runners and, soak up a load of the damage, soak up a load of the ammo for nice and cheap, screen the rest of my men. Because, especially when I've got the Savage Orcs, I kind of need, something with shields. Also, over here, I've got Durkid Squig, so these are armor piercing and anti-infantry, so be really good at sort of recharging Storm Vermin and things like that. Over here, I've also got the Broken Tusks mob, so these guys have got a fair bit of armor, which is really useful. And, yeah, they're just good anti-large, so these guys will be able to bog down a Doom Wheel or something like that. Or they'll just be good for rear charges. They should do well against Rat Ogres. I think they're pretty useful. And yeah, with that armor, they're pretty good. So, rear charging a lot of the sort of Skaven trash, you should just be able to break them nice and quickly. So, yeah, I quite like them. So, quite expensive though. I think they're 1100, I think that's about right. And, well, they're led by Wurrzag as well. So, Wurrzag, bit squishy. If he brings Skrulk, then I need to keep my distance, right? I can't have him getting, Liber Bubonicus. So, I need to watch out for that. But Effigy to Git will be really useful for catching things, sort of unawares, so that'll be really fun. Also, I've got a Goblin Big Boss. Again, really good for just chasing down things, nice and quick. And finally, here I have the 8 Peak Loonies. So I put them just in front here because I kind of wanted a load of their stuff to get stuck on the 8 Peak Loonies, because they're unbreakable, so they will keep stuff stuck for a long time. So that'll help the rest of my front line out. So as you can see, he's got Clan Rat Spears on the sides, so some good anti-large. Well, I say good, they have some anti-large, I guess. Also, he's got a load of Plague Monks in the front, so he's got, I think, 3 units? Yeah, 3 units of Plague Monks and 2 as Sensor Bearers. So the Plague Monks will actually do great against Savage Orcs. They'll do pretty damn well. And the Plague Monks will do great against the Black Orcs. It's pretty tough, honestly. This is not a good line for me to be attacking. This is definitely a good counter. He's also got an Assassin. He's got a Greyseer of Ruin. He's got a Plague Priest. And you can see he's got 2 Rat Ogres in the back. And he's also got some Death Runners. So they're... it's not quite Armor Sundering. What is it? I can't remember what they call it. Because Armor Sundering is like a static debuff. This is a percentage. Weeping Blade, so 50% armor loss, which is pretty huge. So, yeah, this stuff should match up well against my Black Orcs. So, it's a bit scary, honestly. So, yeah. So, yeah, Plague Priest, obviously he's going to have the Mortis Engine effect and things, so it'll wear down my Black Orcs and stuff. So, it's pretty tough. And that will go against, that will evade that sort of physical resist in my front line. So our front line, probably not the best for this. So anyway, let's speed things up and see how it goes. So straight away, you can see I've got a unit of Plague Monks and a unit of Plague Monk Sensor Bearers caught up on my 8 Peak Loonies. So these guys will be able to fight these guys off for a while. They will get slaughtered eventually, but that's fine. So I didn't actually have a target for my, what's it called, Hammer of Gork, so I just went for its infantry. So charging in, so yeah, pretty standard. Black Orcs are coming in, I think, in this side. Yep, these goblins are holding them off, but unfortunately he does have some extra sort of Clan Rat Spears knocking around. So I'm going to try and get the Broken Tusk mob around, get onto the Rat Ogres nice and early. And as you can see, my Savage Orcs are kind of melting. I've done some pretty good damage to a lot of their units, including the Sensor Bearers, which is good because I want to kill them as quickly as possible. So that's why I'm shooting them with arrows. Here, really good breath attack, does a lot of damage to my archers, very well played. Over here I've got Durkit's Squigs in the back, but now his Rat Ogres are going to join in this fight, and that's not good for me. I don't want the Rat Ogres joining in the fight against Black Orcs. That's going to be no fun at all. So here, getting a load of good arrow fire, so I've actually got, I think the Rusty Arrows firing at the Plague Priest and the other archers shooting at the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers. So, you know, partly because that's just going to do a lot of damage over time, and you see it's summoning more units, so I want to kill it nice and quickly. But also, the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers are going to do so much damage to my Black Orcs, I need these guys to stay in the fight. So luckily I have managed to kill a whole ton of them, so that's great news for me, but my backline is getting pretty bogged down, so I'm going to move the Rusty Arrows out. I'm going to use my Goblin Big Boss to try and do some damage. I'm going to get Wurrzag in here as well. I think I might have used Effigy to Git, or at least I think I might do soon. I forget. I use Effigy Git on something. So anyway, Bigfoot Gork here to try and, you know, clear out some of this infantry, because I saw mine had already broken, so I just want to do as much damage to these guys as possible. So I am managing to fight off these Rat Ogres, but they are going to do a lot better than the ones over here, which the Broken Tusk Mob have already slaughtered. So that's great. So Broken Tusk Mob now in the back line, that's really good. Unfortunately my Black Orcs here have broken, but I'm getting some good arrow fire on them, which is nice, despite the fact that there's, you know, rats all in the back here. So I've got 2 units of archers still online, so great for me. So Wurrzag now is yeah, in a bit of a iffy position. So I keep using the buffs, such as Fist of Gork here. So Fist of Gork obviously great against the enemy's physical resist that most of the Skaven have got. So that'll you know, get around that, and also it'll put their stats so high. 76 melee attack. I mean, that is pretty scary. So they'll be able to kill basically anything they touch. Over here, they've sent some Death Runners and some Plague Monks back to try and deal with these Savage Orcs. They will, but they're out of the fight now. That's good. They're over there. Amazingly, yeah, the Plague Monks and the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, they did really well. It's not amazing at all, they would do. They're completely ganging up on him. So over here, so I've managed to get a hit on the Assassin, which is nice. So Wurrzag still buffing stuff. I think that's an Here We Go for plus 44 melee attack. That's really going to hurt the Greyseer. And obviously these Clan Rat Spears are going to have no chance, and hopefully it'll help fight off these guys a bit. But you can see, even with trophy heads, Wurrzag is able to deal with this Assassin. The Assassin just isn't as good a fighter as Wurrzag, you know? So the Assassin's really good for helping another Lord out. I find he's not really good just going toe-to-toe against enemy Lords. It just won't do quite enough. So another really good hit there. The Foot of Gork, the Hammer of Gork rather, I've just had shooting stuff. I haven't been changing targets a huge amount, so it's been hitting sort of fleeing units quite a bit, but it meant that they haven't been coming back, so that's good. So here you can see the Black Orcs, yeah, against the Sensor Bearers, they just have such a bad time. So here I'm now using my Goblin Big Boss to try and chase down the Greyseer. Unfortunately these archers have got caught up on these Clan Rat Spears, but I've still got the Rusty Arrows firing at the Greyseer. And with an Effigy to Git on him now, he's pinned in place, he's going to be taking damage from the Effigy of the Git, and he's taking a load of arrow fire. He will not last against these two. Unfortunately, it's still a lot of very tough things I need to worry about. Durkit Squigs are running back in, so they'll actually do pretty well. Some good shock damage against these lightly armoured units. I've still got some archers here, so Rusty Arrows are moving back. They can shoot into here and just get a load of kills, because, you know, no armour on these guys. So, yeah, I'm sending Wurrzag and the Durkit Squigs to attack these guys. I'm just trying to hit, you know, try and cycle charge as much as possible. Here, I'm really happy for my Goblins to fight these guys. They will trade really well against the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers. Obviously, the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers will win, but the Goblins are so cheap. And here, I actually use Fists of Gork on them, and that's enough for them to just clean up here, which I think is just hilarious. I love just how insane some of the buffs are for the greenskins, especially with imbuing magic attacks as well now. It's hilarious. So I absolutely love it. Just having Goblins just clean up is great. So here you can see, yeah, my Savage Orcs, they weren't really a good pick. I would have probably been better with Orc Boys, I think. The Orc Boys, they wouldn't have hit quite as hard, but they would have had a bit of armour, which would have kept them alive a lot longer. And I think they are a bit cheaper. They're 450, so I would have saved a bit of money. But I just don't think bringing anything with physical resist against Skaven is really worthwhile. There's too many magic attacks, like in the Skaven roster, so it's not really worth it, I don't think. So that's something to consider. My Black Orcs, they did okay, but honestly, he had some great counters for Black Orcs. The Plague Monk Sensor Bearers just do so well against them, especially with backup just from Plague Monks. It's tough, and you know, the Death Runners sundering their armour, it's pretty huge. Luckily, I was able to catch one of his unit of Rat Ogres sort of out before he did anything. So these guys would have really tipped things in the front line. Which he did eventually win anyway, to be honest. It ended up just basically Wurrzag and the big boss and a unit of goblins, you know, sort of in the front line. So it's very tough. So really fun one though. So you see the Foot of Gork, sorry, the Hammer of Gork did pretty well, 73 kills. Goblins though, MVPs, mainly killing clan rats, but still, you know, like they should trade fairly evenly against clan rats. They're similar price, but the goblins just did really well. So also, you know, the 8 peak loonies, 47 kills, not bad, because they held off 2 very good units. They held off a unit of Censer Bearers and a unit of Plague Monks. That is a lot of expense that he had wrapped up just fighting, you know, something that was totally fine, just to fight till, you know, they died. So I was really happy with that. I think that worked quite well, just sort of keeping something, you know, keeping something that would have been useful in the front line away from me. So those Censer Bearers, if they'd come in, backing up his Gracier, the Black Orcs that they were fighting would have been killed almost, you know, immediately. And that would have been it, I think. So I think just having one unit just to hold off stuff like that is just really great. And, you know, did do a fair bit of damage too. So absolutely love it. The archers, they did fantastically for me. Being able to shoot at the like carts was massive. That helped me out so much. And it meant that all of his Skaven slave summons and things, you know, all of his clan rat summons, they were all just thrown into the back line to try and shut these guys down. So it meant he wasn't recharging my front line, so it held out a bit longer than it probably should have done. And honestly, I think Wurrzag is a good pick, because I think having all the wagons is kind of a good pick for Skaven. It's quite a popular one. So I think having Effigy to get to be able to, you know, get some damage in, pin stuff in place, it makes them very vulnerable to, like, arrow fire. They can't retreat. I just think it's really useful. Unfortunately, though, you do have to really watch out for, you know, Liber Bubonicus. So, yeah, if they bring Skrulk, you need to keep Wurrzag away. But all those buffs are massive, especially when able to give people, you know, magic attacks. It just helps so much against Skaven. So, you know, I mean, 93 kills on some goblins. I like to think those are the ones I used, you know, that ability on at the end, and they just got a load of kills, you know, against Censer Bearers, which is insane. So, yeah, I think this isn't a bad build, but I think the Savage Orcs are a waste of time, honestly, guys. I don't think it's worthwhile. And for this army, I think this is a good army against Greenskins. Maybe like a bit of artillery would have been quite good, but he just uses a lot of expense in this front line to deal with sort of Black Orcs and things, which, you know, it works. It works really well. I mean, you saw how quickly my Black Orcs were getting killed. And they're Black Orcs, for God's sake. So, yeah, frontline definitely works. Yeah, the carts, I think, with that perpetual damage, I think is really useful. Death Runners, I've never really seen them pay them for I've never really seen them pay for themselves, honestly. They always seem a bit expensive. I think having some skirmishers is a better idea. Just even if it's just Night Runners, you know, it costs like 500 each. We could have brought a couple of them for the cost of the Night Runners. Well, you know, give or take 50. So I think that would have been more useful, because I think just having some skirmishers come around the back and just start peppering away at things. Because the Night Runners, they are actually a lot better than sort of any other sort of archer that I could bring in melee. So, you know, goblin archers and things in the back line, if you just send your skirmishers around, they could be throwing stuff at whatever's on the flanks, and as soon as you get them into the back line, they can just start killing archers in melee, while still, you know, throwing their shurikens at people. So I think it's a good pick to have something that can skirmish. Obviously you've got to watch out for the cavalry though, you know. But if you can sneak them in through like the front line, as soon as the line breaks, just send them straight in the middle. You can just pour into the middle and do some real damage. So that's what I think. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.